So where do LBQ women, mothers, put their kids? Because I have to work,
Where's your creche?
Yes. Where's my accommodation? This really does go to reasonable accommodation.
If you're having me travel to Arua, I'm a new mother, and you're having me travel to Arua, I have a new baby, and you're expecting me to leave the baby at home. Meanwhile, the child depends on breast milk the whole time. So either you're going to fire me, or then I have to implement. And then when I go to implement, you're not providing for me maybe having a nanny to help with the baby. When you're giving me accommodation, you're giving me just, that's your room. Are we all going to go and sleep in that cramped up casca bed?
I think through like meaningful allyship, like you've said, all these acts, they all apply to us. So as an organization, if you're being an ally, you have to see queer people as in their full entirety. Like, don't just look at us, or don't just look at queer people as people that need SRHR services, because usually that's what's mainstream.
Yes.
We need employment, we need employment laws, we need you to pay our NSSF. Like, there's so many needs. It's a whole...
For 3 years.
But, like, and I feel like for meaningful allyship, you have to be willing to unlearn and relearn. You have to recognize that there's so many things about the community that you're not aware of. There's so much education, because even as a queer activist, there's the things that come up daily and you need to educate yourself about. So as an ally, like, why are you not reading? Why don't you know, like, some terms? Why don't you know the queer jargon? Because there's no way you can actually understand the issues that these people have and mitigate them without educating yourself on those issues. So I don't know, you walk into a space that says it's fronted as an ally organization with queer people, but you don't get the sense, like, even in the conversations, there's a lot of silencing of queer narratives. If you say anything queer, it's you even go into a space and, like, as you're leaving work, at my former workplace, they'll tell you, like, as you're leaving this workplace, as you're going to this office, you're going for this meeting, but these ones, they're not very, like, queer friendly, so you need to see what you're saying. But so it's very tokenist. We're just inviting you to tick this box of, we engaged in one queer organization, but in that space, don't say anything queer.
That's why any chance I get, I will make the room uncomfortable with my homosexuality talk.
Thank you. You see, no, this was going to be a rant after. But we're talking very like us, but we have performative donors too.
Yes.
Yeah. We have... How do we hold those ones accountable? Refuse their money?
Yeah, actually. You see, there's this conversation that we've had, and at first I was just saying it because it's what I think. I had never seen it in practicality. So I was saying, let's hold donors accountable, but also we need to remember that it's a spectrum. The donor is giving the funds, but they have a reason as to why they're giving those funds. Besides the fact that they wake up and make calls and say, up to 31st May, we're taking applications for people working on feminist empowerment. And when 31st May comes and they have not made maybe 100,000 applications, they're going to extend the call. You get? Why do you think they extend the calls? Because they love us so much? No, because they've not met their quota.
Yes.
So that means that while they fund us, they also need us. And the things that we are doing are also useful to whatever work they're doing. So we need to hold them accountable, sit with them, tell them, would like for you to give us flexible funding. Will they do it? Maybe not. But if you get a funder who is telling you, for example, we don't want to hear anything about gender equality in your title, in your work, we don't have to hear anything about maybe queer people. So now if I'm a queer organization, why am I accepting that kind of funding?
Yes.
So that's a thing to think about. Why am I accepting that kind of funding? Why am I working with people like that? And I think it's very we're in difficult times, but we also need to maybe hold ourselves, because we need to recognize that we have a certain power that we also have. We're not just powerless individuals. Yes.
Right. And I mean, this is especially because I said we refuse the money, because the act, just keeps on makes the tap way tighter, that we do not have. Oh my God, I've become sincere. Do you know, I just use an analogy. I'm sorry, you're going to take that part out. I will not be out here on Love Island. Sorry. What I was trying to say is that because the act stifles funding so much, you're left with, this person wants to give me this exorbitant amount of money, but also they really do not care for any of these. They don't care for queer people. They don't care for gender equality. And we've seen this even with government, they bring you in the room, you send data in, and your data is never reflected. It's almost like we're going to do safekeeping for you. We already keep it in our own organization. Why are we extending the safekeeping when you're not going to highlight the experiences of queer people and how they contribute? But I want us wanted us to just talk a little bit more again about how social media played a big role with this act. I think it was so admirable how much the digital advocacy, but also it created attention with the amount of information there's an influx of information. Everyone is writing this, everyone is saying that, everyone is doing that, everyone is doing this, But for the first time, I will commend, like, Ugandans. We did the most, and I am so proud of us for that. But this brings me to this. Does this change for us with policy advocacy? Because the act says do not do this, do not have this podcast. How do we continue to safely advocate online? Because it seems to be one tool that we can use to continue making noise. Can we still use digital advocacy as a legislative tool? Because then we are, in a way, setting ourselves to be a liability. There'll be a wave of time. I'm going back to 2020, COVID, where there's a lot of doxing. There's a lot of nudity. There's a lot of sexual violence by sending in people's nudes online, right? Do you think we can continue to use the digital tools that we have as a legislative tool?
I think we can. Sorry, for me personally, too far. I think we cannot deny the power of social media or the power of the internet today. We can't afford to say we're going to just kick, like, because of the surveillance, we're not going to use it. I think we just have to be smart about how we use it. There's so many, for example, if you're going to advocate for policy, let me first gather my thoughts, but I think we can use it.
Okay.
We have to. For me, I think we must. We must. Because at the end of the day, we're going to wake up one day and we're in Gilead. We're going to wake up one day and we do not have a single right. It's scary that we have less rights than the women in 2014 had. The women in 2016 had. It scares me. And so that means we have to find ways of resilience and working amidst that space, despite how difficult it could be. So we just need to find ways of working around it. I don't know how yet, but
we have resources.
Ways. Yes,
we do. No, we have
VPNs.
Yes,
turn on your VPN, secure your location. Don't put in very sensitive data into the systems. If you're uploading pictures, turn off your metadata. But there are organizations that are actively equipping people with this.
Our internet.
Yes, our internet is doing a very good job of teaching us how to operate within the surveillance, the state surveillance. Yeah, I think we can't afford to not use the internet.
It's impossible.
It makes advocacy so much more impactful.
Yes.
Because you're reaching so many more people. Of course, there's some factors that limit the reach, but it's really difficult to say there's this, let's say like the sovereignty bill when it had come. We could not have reached, let me use Harakati as an example. We did not have the resources to organize a dialogue and sit down the people that are within our networks and tell them, oh, guess what, this is how the law is affecting you. We didn't, like, there are some organizations that may have the resources, but they don't reach everywhere. Social media reaches far quicker and further than we can physically reach. So for something like policy advocacy and critiquing policy, although it's what should I say? Although it's, what's the word?
What's the word?
Criminalized. Although it's restricted, although it's restricted by the Protection of Sovereignty Act, I don't think it should hold us back. I said the word and I forgot what I was talking about. Although policy advocacy is restricted in the Protection of Sovereignty Act, I feel like we can find ways around it. We've been doing this. I mean, the advocating for rights of LGBTQ people has been
it has been
criminalized. We've been on the hunt,
and yet we shan't be shut up.
Yeah, I feel like we need to tap into our motivation and our reasons for being activists at the end of the day.
Okay.
Feel like main.